It's Thursday edition of the Valley's most in-depth weather forecast video. It's Weather for Weather Geeks. We've had a nice audience for these videos this week with actually some wintry intrigue at the end of the week. This is not going to be a huge winter storm or anything like that for our viewing area. But of course, we've had such a paltry winter in the snow department that we are going to pay attention to this, and we need to use some caution in some spots on Friday morning, and we'll get to all the details in just a moment. First, I want to throw this out there as just a reminder, especially if you live in Western PA. We're getting into severe weather awareness season in both Ohio and Pennsylvania over the next several weeks. And the National Weather Service office in Pittsburgh will be hosting a SKYWARN storm spotter training session. This is free of charge. It's located in Mercer County, and it's coming up on Monday the 13th, so a few days from now, at the Mercer County Department of Public Safety. The address there on your screen, 205 South Erie Street. It lasts about an hour, hour and a half, and if you're kind of new to this idea, the National Weather Service puts on these training sessions at this time of the year. Sometimes they're virtual, sometimes they're in person. They're always free of charge, and what you can do is sit in on one of these and learn about aspects of severe weather, different types of clouds, different types of weather phenomena, how to report what you see out there so you can be the eyes and ears to the weather enterprise, whether it be National Weather Service meteorologists or meteorologists such as myself. Our storm spotters are an invaluable resource, and we need more of them. And so I would encourage you to attend this training session if you're interested. And if you missed this one, there'll be others in some of our other counties in our viewing area. You don't have to be a resident of those counties to attend a session in any particular county. So it's something I would encourage everyone to check out, and as we see more of those training sessions popping up over the next several weeks, I'll try to remind you on social media and here on Weather for Weather Geeks. All right, I think we'll probably see more snow on Friday, at least at the Youngstown Warren Airport, than we've seen in all of March and all of February. So far in March, just 0.2. That's almost 4 inches behind average, and of course we only had 0.4 in all of February, and just an enormous deficit for the season. We're up to 40.4 inches behind schedule in the snow department officially at the airport. The number is high, but not quite as impressive in Pittsburgh, but Erie's at 48. Buffalo really stands out, of course, because they had all the lake effect back earlier in the season. But aside from the lake effect events, even Buffalo has not had a tremendous amount of snow during the last few months. All right, our storm system is off to the west in a sharp rain-snow cutoff near I-80, and guess what? It's going to keep traveling along I-80 all the way into eastern Ohio, that sharp rain-snow cutoff, over the next 12 hours or so. Earlier on today, the National Weather Service offices in both Cleveland and Pittsburgh did issue some winter weather advisories for some other counties. Now, in our TV viewing area, this would include Trumbull and Mercer counties. We're not under an advisory off to the south because snowfall amounts will probably be under advisory criteria in Mahoning, Columbiana, Lawrence, Beaver, and other places like that. But Trumbull and Mercer over towards Portage, Geauga, Summit County, and all of those lakeshore counties in northeast Ohio and northwest PA under a winter weather advisory starting tomorrow morning. We've only had 0.6 inches worth of snow since February 1st. Here's one model depiction of snowfall expectations hour by hour as we go into our Friday. And yeah, it's going to be possible in just a matter of a few hours. We'll already have seen more snow than we've seen over the last 5 or 6 weeks. So let's talk about what to expect. When I showed you this graphic last evening, a lot of our models were up in this zone, 3-4 inches, and I told you be cautious with some of those higher numbers. I was pretty skeptical of them for many reasons, and sure enough, the models today did back off some of those higher numbers, and I think this is a lot more realistic. Now, this is for the kind of the middle of our viewing area. So think a lot of Mahoning County, southern Trumbull County, extreme southern Mercer County. That's what I consider to be kind of the most populous zone in our viewing area. It's kind of right in the middle of our viewing area. And this is what the models are spitting out as far as snowfall totals. And our snowfall expectations in general for our viewing area really haven't changed much since yesterday. Generally under an inch, coating at best probably in a lot of Columbiana County, because this may come in as just rain and snow just from the beginning and a quick change over to rain in places like Hanoverton and Lisbon and East Palestine, Salineville, east of Liverpool. An inch to 2 or 3 once you're up towards the 224 corridor and especially up towards I-80. And once you're north of I-80, in the far northern parts of Trumbull, far northern Mercer, far eastern Mercer, you have a better chance of maybe seeing a little bit more than 3, up to 4, perhaps even 5 in some of those communities between Friday and Friday night. And going in, concert with that, the highest road impacts would certainly be as you go northward deeper into Trumbull County along Route 7, along Route 11, 46, 45, all those kind of north-south thoroughfares. As you keep going north, I would expect more in the way of issues tomorrow night in Trumbull County. Also 79 heading north of I-80 up towards the Crawford County line. You can expect probably more issues up there than in southern parts of Mercer County. So let's break this down as we go into tomorrow. Already as the precipitation arrives by 5 a.m. on average, 4, 5, 6 o'clock, it probably starts as just a mix of precipitation south of Interstate 80. So already maybe 34 to 37 degrees in places like Salem and Columbiana and East Palestine. Heading down towards Glenmore, Calcutta, Laycroft, East Liverpool, and therefore, you're just not going to see much snow at all down there. Everything should just be primarily wet. It probably comes in as straight wet snow in Howland and Warren and Newton Falls and Mesopotamia, heading over towards Cortland and Johnston and Mecca, Sharon to Mercer, up towards Sandy Lake and Greenville as well. And as we head towards mid to late morning, the wet snow continues, generally around and north of I-80, but off to the south, again, just not a lot of snow accumulation probably with these kinds of temperatures and some sort of a wintry mix in a lot of places. Now, that being said, if you're an early morning commuter, as I continue struggling with this little tickle in my throat, I'm still getting over a cold. If you're an early morning commuter, use caution. At the very least, things are going to be wet tomorrow morning, but use caution. If you're an early morning commuter, especially if you're heading along 422, I-80 or the Ohio Turnpike and heading up towards Cleveland, that's probably going to be a trickier commute than if you're just staying in our local area, especially south of I-80 and 224. If you're heading down to Pittsburgh tomorrow morning, I would expect things to be mostly wet on your drive down towards the Pittsburgh area. Now, as we get into tomorrow afternoon, everything's pretty wet, maybe a little bit snowy still in our northern viewing area. We may get into a more intense band briefly up here that may add to our snow totals in northern Trumbull and northern and eastern Mercer. This storm track, we've been talking about this all week. This is, tricky business trying to pinpoint exactly how this is going to track. It's going to take a track that's not going to put us in the sweet spot for the heaviest amount of snow, but it's going to take a track that means some parts of our viewing area are probably going to see at least a couple, if not a few inches or so, especially in the north. But then the low shifts off to the east. By tomorrow night, we're into more of a flurry and maybe a lake effect snow shower regime. And temperatures are going to drop below freezing. So wet and slushy areas and with a little snow falling from the sky can mean that surfaces throughout the area could be a little bit slick at times for our Friday night, first thing Saturday morning. Flurries will fade away pretty quickly, I think, by Saturday midday, leaving us with just clouds for the rest of the day. We'll see some sunny breaks coming up on Sunday before clouds thicken up as we go into the afternoon. This next weather maker is just probably going to graze us, maybe with a touch of snow or flurries late in the day Sunday and into Sunday night and Monday morning. Active pattern coming up. This is the upper level flow. Here's our Friday into Friday night system. The next one is waiting in the wings out across the Pacific Northwest. It comes across I-90 and then kind of dumbbells to the south. And this is what grazes us with a little light snow or flurries, maybe, late Sunday into Sunday night, first thing Monday morning. And this trough then deepens over the Great Lakes and produces a pretty good lake effect snow regime, I think. This will probably also spout a pretty good nor'easter for New England and the mid-Atlantic states early next week. For us, a lot of clouds, cold temperatures, gusty winds, some flurries, some lake effect. Could there be some appreciable amounts of lake effect snow downwind of Lake Erie somewhere in Ohio and Pennsylvania? Sure. Early next week. This is going to be a very January-like pattern, at least for a few days. But beyond that, I think the pattern will relax some, at least for a couple of days, towards St. Patrick's Day at the end of next week, as a ridge briefly builds in. I think it'll only last a couple of days, but the end of next week doesn't look bad at all. This next trough may pivot in towards, next weekend and produce maybe some wintry intrigue at that point. But this weekend, we have the St. Patrick's Day Parade, the Mahoning Valley St. Patrick's Day Parade in Boardman early in the afternoon on Sunday. I can't rule out a touch of snow or maybe a few raindrops towards the end of the afternoon, but I think this is mostly a dry affair early in the afternoon, clouds thickening up and temperatures into the mid-30s and 21 WFMJ. As always, a proud sponsor of the Mahoning Valley St. Patrick's Day Parade. Thanks for your patience with my throat congestion. I'm going to try to get this cleared up hopefully over the next couple of days. And thanks as always for tuning in. When you need detailed weather forecasts, this is your place to be. We'll keep an eye on the models this evening, make any adjustments as needed, and I'll have a full update tonight on 21 News at 11. Hope to see you then.